Hi everyone, it's Colleen Patrick-Goudreau from joyfulvegan.com. Welcome to Vegan POV. Today I want to address something that goes something like this. People who've said a vegan diet is accessible only to the privileged elite who have enough money to buy organic produce and expensive vegan products. Here is my point of view. For centuries, meat, dairy, and eggs have been products of privilege and symbols of affluence, affordable only to the wealthy and denied to the poor. Now, ultimately, this has proven to be a good thing because as you look at rural communities and in less affluent countries where industrialization has not yet taken hold, meat tends to be served in very small portions or eaten only on special occasions. And because they're eating predominantly animal-free, they center their diets on vegetables, fruits, and grains, the types of which vary according to what regions they live in. And as a result, their diets often are healthier and more sustainable than the diets of their more wealthy counterparts. In other words, they don't have what we call diseases of affluence, the atherosclerosis, the cancer, the diabetes, all of which have been linked to the consumption of meat, dairy, and eggs, and all of which come with the industrialization and mechanization of our food system. It's only because meat and animal products are kept artificially cheap due to this factory system that treats animals as so many inputs and outputs, and because of government subsidies, it's because of this that the poor and everyone else can afford to eat every day what are really very expensive products to produce. Now, that's not a good thing because these diseases of affluence afflict those with and without affluence. They're diseases without prejudice or concern for class or economic status or race. And I'm not even getting into the fact that fast food restaurants purposefully open in low-income neighborhoods, targeting the most economically vulnerable with their cheap crap. I'm also not even getting into the fact that healthcare for these diseases of affluence is less available to the poor. So there's so much to talk about in terms of economics and food. So I'm sorry, did someone say that eating plants was for the rich? The truth is, when people make the transition to a whole foods plant-based diet, one of the things they notice is how much less money they spend on food, even with all of the government subsidies. Animal proteins are still typically more expensive than plant proteins. Sure, convenience foods, whether they're vegan or not, simply cost more than whole foods. That's because you're choosing to pay with money rather than time. You want to spend money rather than spend your time. But luckily our choices are not limited to cheap animal-based hot dogs or expensive veggie hot dogs. That's a false dichotomy. The options for affordable, healthful, plant-based foods are endless. And notice I say affordable and not cheap. There is a big difference between eating affordably and eating cheaply. Most Americans are eating artificially cheap food, made such due to the government subsidies I mentioned before, and buybacks for meat, dairy, and eggs. The problem isn't that healthful, organic, whole plant foods are expensive. The problem is that animal products are priced artificially low, even though they're very expensive to produce. In reality, the cheap food that people are eating have huge costs beyond dollars. Cost to our health, cost to the earth, cost to the people who produce this food, cost to the animals, and of course there are so many ways to reduce these costs to the benefit of everyone involved. Eating a plant-based diet and supporting local farmers and organic growing methods, there are some of the ways we can do this. In terms of eating affordably, there's so many things we can do. We can eat at home rather than eat at restaurants, buy in bulk rather than paying for packaging, cook from scratch. Eat what you have in the kitchen already. A lot of us run to the store because we say, I have nothing to eat in my kitchen, when we probably have something to eat in our kitchen. But we run to the store, and then of course we buy way more than just that one thing we said that we're going to the store for. So stretch out the time between going to the grocery store. Chop vegetables in advance so that the vegetables that we do buy that are healthful for us don't compost in our refrigerator. And then we go, what happened to the vegetables? Why'd they go back? Because you didn't eat them. So eat them and don't waste money that way. Become a savvy shopper, make a list and stick to it. And eat less. I think a lot of us can probably eat less than we do, and this applies to eating out as well. Share a meal with the person you're eating with rather than buying your own entree or dessert. There are so many ways to eat affordably, and certainly starting with making the foundation of our diet whole plant foods. It's certainly been the way we've done it for centuries. Eating that way has been the most sustainable, it's been the most affordable, it's been the most healthful, and the most compassionate. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you heard today, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to this channel so you'll be the first to hear about more videos. And please show the love and share the video. And if you're able, you can even make these messages possible by supporting them. Please visit joyfulvegan.com to do so and to check out lots of information, including my podcast, Food for Thought. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter and G+, and Instagram and everywhere else you might be looking, and some places you might not be looking. For the animals, this is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Thank you for being a voice for those who don't have one.